Well, of course, this completes the three Shakespeare operas that we presented. It's in reverse order from the last to the first, but I think it's a very good project that we undertook, that we do the group of three operas that are Verdi, Shakespeare. And as you said, of course, Verdi was a great lover of Shakespeare, which is in itself quite exceptional in those days. It was not that, to read Shakespeare in the Italian translation, but still be so
convinced by his art and that Verdi dedicated a great part of his musical life to Shakespeare. This, of course, is a much earlier work, but this is a work that I think that he himself felt was his best work of the early period. You know that in his personal life, he had his father-in-law, because his wife died, but his father-in-law was a very, very strong supporter of him throughout his life, and he dedicated this opera to him, saying that, in a letter saying that until now, even though he had composed at least a dozen operas, he didn't feel that he had written one that was worthy of dedicating to him. That's how great importance he placed. And of course, he also, 20 years later, he revised a lot of this. So it is both an early work, but also refined in old age. So it is a picture of Verdi, a very big picture of his life as a composer. It is without question a very dramatic, sometimes dark work. He places considerable emphasis on the supernatural element. A very big role is given to the witches, for instance, the chorus of the witches. They have a very, very big role musically and dramatically. And so it will be a challenge to present this in concert, but also try to convey some of these strange supernatural elements of the opera. Yes, of course there is a considerable difference, even though the personality and the character of Verdi is clearly present from the first note to the last note. But as with many great composers, of course, he continued to refine his art. So you could characterize this work in terms of a gem that is not as refined as his, like Falstaff, as is Otello, but it's still a diamond. It's a very high quality diamond that is Verdi's, and so it is very interesting to follow the development of his musical life through these three operas. Well, the theme is a very harsh theme that one sees in history, anything that has to do with power and the desire for power. But in terms of the characterization of the opera, I think without question the driving force, the strongest character is Lady Macbeth. It is almost a unique role, and in many ways she is the much more stronger character than Macbeth himself. He is pushed by his wife to do things that he initially resists.
And so this portrayal is his wife, who in the end goes mad and dies out of sheer madness. So it's a horrifying story, but it's at the same time unique in even all of Verdi's operas, this character of Lady Macbeth. You know, to give a mezzo-soprano a role that is as high as any soprano role, but has the strength of the middle register. But also he, for instance, specifically preferred to have a singer that didn't even have a beautiful voice. Usually singers, first thing you ask is that it must be a beautiful voice. But he specifically wanted a woman that even vocally could sound very harsh, you know. So it is a very uncomfortable drama in that way. But, you know, not everything in life can be just happy and sunshine. So it's highly dramatic in a dark sense. Well, I think that Tokyo Philharmonic audience is very fortunate that the orchestra has decided to invest in presenting opera. You know, it's not very often that symphony orchestras can present operas because it is challenging in many ways. It's financially challenging because you have to hire as many singers, a chorus. Also, many symphony orchestras are not used to playing opera, but Tokyo Philharmonic is a very versatile orchestra. And so for the audience of the Tokyo Philharmonic to have a chance to hear regularly opera presented in a way where the musical quality, the concentration is completely on the musical quality. And so they can appreciate the music of Verdi 100%. So this is the advantage of opera in concert. That sometimes you can close your eyes and hear the music tell the whole story. And so Tokyo Philharmonic audience is very lucky. Thank you.